What's going on YouTube? So if you're a subscriber to this channel, you probably know that we have a long-term 2021 Hyundai Sonata. But today we are excited to be behind the wheel of the 2024 Sonata, which is refreshed in a big kind of way. So with a new exterior design, all-wheel drive, and effectively an entirely redesigned cabin, is this new Sonata ready to take on the Honda Accord and Toyota Camry? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So to start off this review, let's go over some basic specs here with our spec dump. Now, this continues to be a pretty complicated vehicle in terms of your powertrain selections because you do have three distinct ones. This one here is the mainstream version. This is a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine, making 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque.
This particular model is paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Front-wheel drive will be what most Sonatas have, but new for 2024, you do have all-wheel drive as an option on SCL gas trim levels. And as far as your fuel economy, it comes in at 29 miles a gallon combined.
Now, of course, we're going to go through all your different powertrain configurations, tell you the details of those things later on in a test drive while we're showing you the performance. And we're also going to get things like our signature sound level reading, because you probably want to know, how does this Sonata compare in terms of noise to something like a Honda Accord? But first, let's close up the hood because there's some big changes on the outside. So this morning we basically picked up this Sonata straight off the truck because we didn't want to waste any time taking a look at this refresh model and getting you guys the latest and greatest content. Now I have to say, seeing it out in the real world in the daylight is a lot different than seeing it at the auto show, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing. They have done a lot in terms of this model, especially when you're looking here at the front. Completely new front end. The old catfish grille, as a lot of people like to call it, is gone. We have a very aggressive look still though. So as you can tell, we've got this large black fascia that's going to run all the way across the front. You are going to see some chrome accents down on the lower elements for most models. And obviously if you choose the inline, this is going to dial up the aggression even more. The biggest departure though is the lighting. So we now have this new and really cool looking light bar that's going to run all the way across the entire front end of the vehicle. As you can tell, it is LED, and then the side sections are going to act as your turn signal indicators. We're also going to find standard LED headlights as well. These are very premium looking projector LEDs, so I really like the looks of that and I'm quite impressed by that. Now, as we head around to the rear design, there's also some pretty big changes back here as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as much changed here in the back, but you'll certainly know this is a refreshed Sonata. That is for sure. Now, we're going to go ahead and break down some of the elements that are refreshed. And Drew's going to hop inside and show off the taillights because that's a really big element of this 2024 refresh. So we're going to check and see if all the elements are LED. We do have an LED brake light portion and LED turn signal indicator. Our reverse light is going to be incandescent though, so 2 out of 3 elements are LED, and that's actually standard across all versions of the Sonata. So I really like that they are giving you LED taillights even on the base models, and it's going to now have that new pixel motif that we've seen on a lot of other Hyundai products, starting with their electrified models like the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. We do have an integrated spoiler up top. We have new Sonata text, and then down here at the very bottom, we're not going to have any exposed exhaust outlets on this example, but we do have some nice silver trim to kind of accent. If you choose the inline, you're going to have quad exhaust outlets.
Now, before we get into the wheels, I do want to go ahead and mention that this new Sonata has a simplified trim structure versus the previous model. Now we really just have 3 main trims. It's going to be SEL, inline, and limited trim levels. There are some varieties of each of those. Now, in terms of your wheels, you have 17-inch alloys, 18-inch alloys, and 19-inch alloys on your inline model. This is going to be the 18-inch alloy on the SEL. Convenience, and as you can tell, we do have a lot of different spokes going on. It's a very cool look. It actually does remind me of the inline's wheel. Now as we rise above here, we have a silver accent on this model. If you choose inline or limited, this will actually be your turn signal indicator mounted right there. And then in terms of our mirrors, we do have standard heating as well as blind spot monitoring on all trims.
Now here at the side of the Sonata, you can tell that Hyundai definitely spent the money on the refresh in the front and the back because the side looks mostly the same compared to the 2023 model. There are a few exceptions to that though. We do have this new slit, which I really do like, and what Drew mentioned up there in the front 3/4 panel. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, the Sonata is going to include all 4 active safety features as standard equipment on every single version, which I'm very happy to say. Additionally, if you choose an inline or limited trim level, that's where you will get their highway driving assist function. But guys, there is a lot to talk about on the inside, some big tech improvements. So let's check that out. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's go ahead and check out this brand new cabin. But before we do that, take a look at our brand new key. You might have seen this on some of the recent Hyundai Ioniq products, but we have that same kind of unique H-shaped button arrangement on board. We do have a smart entry system as standard equipment on all Sonatas, and we also have remote start with the SEL convenience model. Now, getting inside, just reach behind the handle. That will unlock the door, of course. And then take a look inside the interior. Coming from Sonata owners, that's really not hardly anything recognizable from the 2023 model. But before we get into those kinds of details, let's talk about our seat options. So you are going to have cloth seating when you choose any of the SEL trim levels. If you choose the inline, that's going to get you a performance seat that has suede and leatherette. And then the limited, that's the model that's going to come with real leather. However, all the models, no matter what, will have 8 ways of power adjustment with 2-way lumbar support. And then we also have memory seating included with the limited trim level. But let's go ahead, climb inside. Now that we're fully inside, you can really get a good look at the whole arrangement of the interior. Basically, everything through here is going to be completely new, although the door trim itself is the only part that pretty much looks like the outgoing model. Let's go through the materials, though. We have leather through here, leather through the center section, soft touch plastic along the top. We have a leatherette material that's going to cover the entire part of the upper dashboard. You'll see this new textured faux aluminum that's going to run through the entire center section. And then as we come down the console, obviously this is going to be a hard touch plastic, but everything does fit together very nicely. And we'll go ahead and fire it up with the standard push button start. Now that we fired it up, let's get into some of the individual details. A great place to go ahead and start off with is our gauge cluster because it is part of a big technology update that we have with this new Sonata. You've got this dual screen arrangement, and this 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster will be included on the SEL convenience and above. So you're going to have this set up on most models. You can reconfigure it to different types of designs, and if you choose the limited trim, you'll even get a head-up display up top. Now, pulling back to the steering wheel, you'll notice we have a brand new design. Again, this is kind of Hyundai Ioniq inspired because it doesn't even have the H branding on it. You'll find leather wrapping if you choose the SEL with convenience package. And as far as the wheel itself, it's going to be manual tilt and telescoping, heated on the limited. All right, so now let's come into this updated console area. First of all, I'll open up our center console. And you'll find some donuts inside because this is Car Confections after all, and we like to do the donut test. How many donuts do we fit inside? Well, we fit inside 10. That is a pretty good result for a mid-size sedan. As you can see, this console has a nice width to it. And then additionally, you're going to have 2 big cup holders, another little area, and then a large storage cubby up here in the front, which includes a wireless phone charging pad on most trim levels. One thing the console does not include anymore, though, is the shifter. You'll notice the push-button shifter is gone. In its place, we have this extended armrest, and the shifter has now been relocated to the column. This is Hyundai's new twist style, so you twist up for drive, down for reverse. And when you go into reverse, You'll be greeted with the standard backup camera on most trim levels. As you can see, we do have guidelines and active trajectory on board, but if you choose the limited trim, that's going to get you a 360-degree camera system, and it also gives you Hyundai's Smart Park system. And then just press the P right on the end of the stalk for park. Your electronic parking brake is on the other side of the steering wheel. Now, as we move above, you're going to find some new climate controls. Dual zone automatic climate is now standard on every single trim level. And this is a very nice, easy to use system because we have physical knobs right here for the adjustments. And then some of your lesser used items, these are going to be actually touch capacitive. Very responsive though, I will note. We also have 3-stage heated seats. Those are standard on all trim levels. And 3-stage ventilated seats will come on the limited trim level. And then above that, we have a row of audio controls, and we have a volume knob. Now, I was having trouble finding the exact number of speakers on the standard sound system. However, you can continue to get the Bose sound system if you want an upgraded system on the limited and the inline, but we'll go ahead and give the standard system a sample. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is totally adequate for this price point. All right, let's not waste any more time. This is really what I want to talk about up here with our infotainment system. Being an owner of a Sonata, we know that there's some updates we were certainly hoping that Hyundai would do, and they did do them. First of all, check it out, guys. Wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay are now included across the board with this new model. This, as I mentioned earlier, is a 12.3-inch display. And as I cycle back to the Hyundai system, you'll notice that this is a brand new infotainment system for the brand. This is going to be one of the very first models that it rolls out to. And as you can see, the software is going to be refreshed. Everything is a lot more responsive. We also have a built-in navigation system, and as you can see, touch response is generally just improved radically over the previous model. Now up top, you're going to find on many of your trim levels an auto-dimming mirror. That's what we have. And so long as you choose at least the SEL with convenience package, you're going to get a large panoramic sunroof.
So let's go ahead and check out the rear seat area for this refreshed Sonata. Now, in terms of this area, we do have some new specs for the rear seat space. 37.4 inches of legroom, 34.8 inches of headroom. That's going to be improved over the previous 2023 model, but I think it's just a measuring difference. And I was always saying that for many years that I felt like the Hyundai Sonata had just as much legroom as a Toyota Camry and Honda Accord, and I think that's backed up by our own measurements here. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and as you can see, I have about 9.5 inches of knee space, which is really, really large for a midsize sedan. I can also slide my feet up underneath of the seat. And then let's go ahead and talk about some of the features that you're going to get. Here on this model, we do not have any vents. However, if you choose an SEL hybrid, inline, or limited trim level, you will have vents located right here. Now, we do have 2 USB-C ports in this area. And as far as other features to mention, I do want to point out, new this year, you have rear window sunshades on that limited trim level to really elevate the experience. Now, if I fold down the center armrest, we have 2 cup holders inside, and turning over to that door trim, we do have a really nice one. It's going to be soft touch plastic on all of this area, leatherette on the armrest portion, and then we do also have a little bit of storage, but overall, most of the door trim is going to remain the same this year. Now, walking up to the trunk, I do actually have something to talk about here. It's not on this model specifically, but you can actually get a fully power trunk on the Limited. It's a standard feature on the Limited model. Once again, raising the bar when it comes to luxury and midsize sedans. Although I really don't think you need the feature because, as you saw, this trunk is very nicely dampened even on all versions of the Sonata. Now, as far as the cargo capacity is concerned, Hyundai hasn't quite got around to measuring the cargo area just yet. It's TBD, but it shouldn't be much different from the previous Sonata, so it's going to be around 16 cubic feet overall, and as you can see, it does look quite large for a midsize sedan. I do want to point out our cargo hinges are now covered, and I'm going to go ahead and get the cargo length and width figures for you guys if you're looking to haul something. As far as the overall length, we're sitting at about 46 inches of cargo length. We do also have, we have 40 inches of cargo width. And I do want to point out the seats do fold 60-40 split folding. Then lifting up the cargo floor, there's a spare tire underneath of here. And I can kind of speak to personal experience. We travel quite a bit and haul luggage along in the Sonata, and it fits several suitcases in here, no problem whatsoever. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed 2024 Sonata. We're very excited to show you all the different powertrain things going on with this refreshed model and explain how they've done things for 2024. Of course, we'll also be talking about our normal stuff in the test drive, including getting our sound level reading. But first, let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
And there we are, accelerating up to 60 miles per hour in this 2024 Hyundai Sonata. My mind almost said all new, because it does feel like an all new product in many ways.
Especially inside this cabin.
Yeah, for sure. But what you really want to know about, of course, is the powertrains. And we really have a lot to discuss, because this model, as we mentioned at the spec dump, has 3 different available powertrains. Used to have 4 available powertrains, and they have gotten rid of one of them for 2024. A lot of models came with a 1.6 turbo 4-cylinder. That's gone. Now, all of your mainstream gas line trim levels are going to come with the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder we have today. This is 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good for the class in terms of a basic motor.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not the most powerful Sonata you can get. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but this is going to be the powertrain choice that most Sonatas have for the 2024 model year, and also it's going to be perfectly adequate for the average Sonata buyer. Now, if you happen to fall outside of average and want something really powerful, we're happy to tell you that for 2024, they're continuing the inline version, which has a 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 290 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. If you don't know already, we do own a 2021 Hyundai Sonata inline, so if that tells you anything about how impressive that model is, there you go. But it's very, very quick, so if you care anything about performance, the inline is the way to go, and we are hoping to do a separate review on that coming up shortly. Now, finally, I do want to talk about the hybrid setup. So the hybrid is available in 2 different trim levels. So you can get the hybrid on the SEL, as the SEL hybrid trim level, and then you also have it standard on the limited model. So that's something I kind of want to talk about here. If you choose that top-end limited grade Sonata, you are now going to have the hybrid system as standard. Now, as far as the powertrain on that, that's going to be a 2-liter 4-cylinder plus electric componentry, and that's going to be making 191 total horsepower.
Now, let's go ahead and talk about the transmission, of course, the other aspect of the powertrain. Each of the things we talked about also have their own individual transmission. This is an 8-speed automatic, a conventional automatic. You have an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic on the inline, and the hybrid comes with a 6-speed automatic. One of the things that's interesting to note, though, is that the hybrid does not have a continuously variable transmission, so we're completely free of CVTs in the entire Sonata lineup.
Yeah. And, of course, like we've mentioned, at the spec dump, you do have front-wheel drive across most trim levels. However, you do have the option of getting all-wheel drive. That's really one of the big news elements about this new Sonata, is that you can get all-wheel drive. That is only available on one trim level, though, so it's not available on the inline or anything along those lines. It's the SEL with all-wheel drive. So this base powertrain setup, you can get all-wheel drive on. And now that we're just kind of cruising down the road here, let's go ahead and get our sound level reading for this refreshed Sonata and see how quiet it is at 55 miles per hour. sitting at 55.6 decibels as our official Car Confections sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. And boy, I have to say that is a very, very impressive sound level reading for a midsize sedan. But I don't have to sit here and guess, because I can go to carconfections.com, and like we mentioned at the beginning, we can compare to some of those main rivals like the Camry and Accord and see how it compares. Now that means in terms of those rivals, it is going to be still a little bit louder than some of the Camrys that we've tested out. However, it is going to be less than any of the Honda Accords that we've tested out, as well as stuff like the Subaru Legacy and previous Hyundai Sonatas. Now, one thing I just kind of noticed reviewing the car today is that we actually do have dual pane glass even on this SEL convenience model up here in the front. So I'm not sure if that's a new feature for the 2024 model, but certainly it's pretty rare to have dual pane glass in a mainstream midsize sedan. Now, I also want to talk about your ride quality for this Sonata. And, now that we're just kind of cruising along, going 45 miles an hour, and we've hit a few bumps in the road, I have a good feel for the way this refreshed Sonata rides, and I have to say I'm pretty darn impressed. Now, this is just a standard Sonata setup. It's not the inline, so we don't have like the sportiest suspension that you're going to be able to have in the Sonata lineup, but certainly I think it's very comfortable. When you hit a bump, it has little intrusion, even though we do have the larger 18-inch alloy wheels. So I think you're going to be very happy with it if comfort is what you're looking for. The inline, do keep in mind, will probably stiffen that up quite a bit and make for a little bit of a rougher ride quality. All right, let's do our slam dunk and airball, our favorite element and least favorite element about this new refreshed Sonata. Drew, what's a slam dunk?
So the slam dunk has got to be this sound level reading container. It's perfectly designed to fit that right there, so we can take on-demand sound level readings whenever we want. Just kidding. It's going to be all of the 2024 updates. This is a really heavy refresh. It almost, like we said, feels like a full redesign, especially when you're talking about the cabin. And by and large, almost every single thing they did, I think, is a great improvement, especially when we're talking about technology. This is a big thing for us owning a Sonata, and they have changed really all the things that we complain about.
Yeah, and as far as our airball is concerned, one of the things that we have complained about, and they didn't change for the 2024 model, is adding all-wheel drive to more of the engine options. Now, yes, they added all-wheel drive, but they didn't add all-wheel drive to the inline, which would greatly benefit in terms of performance, having all-wheel drive, and also it's not available if you choose a hybrid model, so you do kind of have to just pick that base engine setup if you want the capability of all-wheel drive, and we would certainly like for them to kind of expand that out further. Now let's also go ahead and talk about your fuel economy. So this model with the base engine and front wheel drive is coming in at 29 miles a gallon combined. If you choose all-wheel drive, it goes down to 28 mpg. Inline is going to continue to be rated at 27 miles per gallon combined. And then the hybrid model has not officially been rated yet for 2024. However, we do have the 2023, and we don't expect that to change much. That's rated at 47 mpg combined.
And we also observed that this still does not have auto start-stop on this traditional gas engine, so if you don't like systems like that, you don't have to worry about it with the Sonata.
And last but not least, let's talk about the warranty. We have a 5-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and additionally, we do get 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance.
And let's talk pricing for this Sonata. You probably are thinking, okay, there's a lot of nice improvements for this 2024 model. How much is the price going to rise? And I'm very happy to tell you it is not much at all. We're still starting at $27,500 for the SEL model. Of course, there's a few less trim levels this year. You can see the trim level specific information on the screen right now. However, I do want to point out for the top end limited hybrid model, it's going to be $37,200, which is barely an increase at all. It might even be a little bit of a decrease in price. Now, as far as this particular model today, we're the SEL 27.5. We have the convenience package plus a few accessories and 1115 destination. We're sitting at $31,750 as tested.
Now, if you're looking to buy a Hyundai Sonata or any new vehicle for that matter, we would suggest you go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, why you'd go to our website is because we have a tool on there that will connect you with local dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealers' negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description. And guys, that's going to wrap up one of the very first in-depth reviews of the 2024 refreshed Hyundai Sonata. Now, if you enjoyed seeing early access and watching us get behind the wheel of this refreshed Sonata, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help give us the opportunity to monitor things like this and make sure we are some of the earliest people to sample out the newest cars on the market. So please hit that subscribe button. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, because you do make this all possible. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.